Hi everyone, nice to meet you on my YouTube channel. My name is Ionesi, and as we promised in our previous video, we made it actually in Russian, but we promised to start this new 2021 year with a new video, with an interview with our immigration consultant, Mr. Hashem Fawaz. Now we are sitting here in our immigration office in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This video will be in English, as I said before. My English is not perfect, so I will use this paper just to be more accurate. Today we would like to bring to your attention our wonderful leader, mentor and teacher, Mr. Hashem Fawaz. Hello, Mr. Hashem.
Hello, Ionesi. Hello, Anastasia. Hello, everyone.
By a happy chance of fate, we met Mr. Hashem Fawaz in the college where we were trained as immigration consultants. There are no words to express the joy and gratitude of working with such a wonderful person, but also with a highly qualified professional. After all, he has a huge number of positive reviews from the clients, as well as almost only positive results on refugee cases, various types of sponsorship, economic immigration cases, etc. So, Mr. Fawaz, let me ask you first question. Why did you choose this profession? What made you come to it?
First of all, it's a pleasure for me to be with you guys. It's a pleasure to be able to give some advice to people all over the world by making such interview. For your question, I immigrated to Canada as most of people that came to Canada as an immigrant or as a refugee. It's a process that has lots of tension. It's a process that's not very easy mentally and doing the paperwork as well. So me by going all through all of this process, it was very interesting, and then I thought, why wouldn't I be able to help people immigrating to Canada with the various types of immigration? So some of them are, as we know, refugees, temporary workers, temporary visitors, economic immigration. All of these people, or at least most of them, would need help at one time. They're going to have questions that they might not be able to answer. They will seek help. Our agency is one of the immigration consultant agencies that are certified and regulated, and we are honored to help people that want to immigrate to Canada.
Please tell me, how long have you been an immigration consultant?
I've been an immigration consultant since 2014, so it's about 6 years. 7 years actually.
And you started this profession in Calgary, Alberta?
Yes, I started in Calgary.
Could you just shortly, or maybe in details, tell us what kind of immigration services do you provide? Let's say our office provides.
The office here provides all different kinds of services, immigration services. We offer services for refugees coming from overseas, refugees from within Canada, workers, PNPs as an economic immigration, federal skilled workers. We offer a service for humanitarian and compassionate cases. Same for spousal sponsorship and other types of sponsorship, parents and grandparents sponsorship. While we do services in all different programs, including rehabilitation as well. So almost all cases.
Business immigration as well?
Business immigration as well, yes.
Let's say a person just makes a decision to immigrate to Canada. Is anyone eligible to come to Canada?
Well, I believe most people nowadays wants to come to Canada.
Yes, it's true.
From everywhere.
Yeah.
But Canada accepts people according and depending on their qualifications, their personal qualifications. So they're going to look for age, they're going to look for English language, their studies, their work experience, their relatives in Canada. There's many different things that they're going to be looking at. And when I'm saying this for the regular immigration programs. let's say a person wants to come here as a refugee, they will be looking at reasons why would he applying for refugee. Is he eligible to be a refugee in Canada? Same thing there's different criteria for different programs for immigration. So if a person is qualified, then by all means, Canada is a wonderful country to be living at. So if they're not qualified, it would be a good idea to reach for an immigration consultant, for a lawyer, someone that will try to help them to be qualified.
Next question would be, can we make anyone qualified to immigrate to Canada? I think there are some limitations. So.
There are some limitations, but I would believe that it's always possible. Let's not forget that immigrating to Canada does not mean that you're gonna get a permanent residence before you come to Canada, because you might immigrate to Canada as a worker. So in a work permit aspect, yes, most people would be able to come to Canada in a case that the officer is satisfied that you meet the requirements, right? So in that case, you can come to Canada as a visitor. So that's short period immigration, if we can call it like that. And at the same time, we still have the business immigration, we still have the economic immigration, and that would be permanent from the start.
Next question just came to my mind is a lot of people who, let's say, address us just to get enough help to immigrate to Canada or assistance to immigrate to Canada, they also are asking about the job offer. Like it's a bit of confusion between you can immigrate to Canada even without a job offer. It's not mandatory to have a job offer. And certain programs, it is a mandatory to have a job offer before you can apply under this program, but usually not. Can you please get into more details in this topic about immigration and job offer?
So the immigration and job offer thing, all what I can say in this aspect, there's some programs that will require you to have a job offer before you start your immigration application. Let's say the federal skilled trades. You cannot immigrate to Canada unless you have a job offer. That is one of the requirements. Some immigration pilot programs are the same. But look at it in a different way. If you don't have a job offer, or reach for an immigration consultant, reach for a lawyer, try to do your research properly. There's some good websites that can help you a lot, like jobbank.ca. With that said, during this COVID-19, you might not be successful, so if you cannot find the job right away, you just have to be patient.
I've met a lot of, let's say, clients. Most of them are qualified under Express Entry program, and under this, it's a standard program. It's the most common program to come to immigrate to Canada. You only get your permanent residency before you come, and after that you have to come to Canada and have to search for your job offer here. And most of them are asking me, are you going to help me with this job offer or only with immigration process?
Okay, let's make it a lot easier. When you submit an application to immigrate to Canada, Canada is not going to be looking for a job for you. But you still have lots of time to look for a job. So I don't think it's a good idea to wait till you come to Canada to look for a job. You're submitting an application for immigration, there is some processing time, it will take some time. By all of this time that you're going to be waiting till you get your PR, that is the best time for you to look for a job. So as I said, there is Indeed, you can use that website, you can use jobbank.ca. There's several other websites you can use. LinkedIn is one of the most important one as well. You can actually find a job before you even come to Canada. And once you get your PR, it's a lot easier for you to work. So definitely look for a job before you come, don't wait. As a part of the immigration process itself, most programs do not require that you find a job offer. Would be a good idea if you have it.
The new year just started, the first days of January, and let's say one person is qualified on the Express Entry program. It's, as I said, the most common program to immigrate to Canada. And how long it will take for this person to get confirmation of permanent residency? Because there are two stages.
Yes.
Wait for invitation to apply, and after that to apply for permanent residency. Will they manage within 2021, within 1 year, with all these stages? Or?
If they are qualified, yes, I would think within a year or maybe less they can be in Canada. We've seen 2020, and we have seen that the immigration programs were just fine. Maybe a little bit of delay, but they accepted, the Canadian immigration accepted more than usual immigrants during this year. So I think we're just fine. One of the things that did not really get affected badly with COVID-19 is the immigration itself. So I think if the client is qualified, maybe within 6 months he can be in Canada.
Based on your experience and in comparison with other countries, what can you say about the immigration system in Canada, just overall?
Well, the immigration system in Canada is one of the easiest if you are qualified. If you look on different countries' immigration system and compare it to Canada, Canada is the easiest. As I said, within 6 months you could be a permanent resident if you are qualified. If you're qualified, the spousal sponsorship usually takes about 1 year, which is not bad at all. The humanitarian cases are taken less than a year, which is amazing too. Visit visas and other stuff, like work permits and stuff, it's taken a short period of time too. With COVID-19, maybe things are being not normal, and that is normal not to be normal in COVID-19 situation. But overall, I believe Canada is one of the most countries that were able to maintain the integrity of the immigration system. And they were able to communicate properly with people all over the world. They have good announcements, they have an easy immigration procedure. If you follow those procedures, it's easier to immigrate, for sure.
You became a permanent resident in Canada. How long it will take for you to get citizenship? Just for our subscribers to know.
Okay, roughly it depends on how many times you leave Canada. If you become a permanent resident, let's say today, after 3 years, if you don't leave Canada at all, you can apply for citizenship. If you leave Canada for some days, you're going to have to add those days up to the total. So it's 3 years out of 5. If you leave for 1 month, then you're going to have to add that 1 month extra at the very end.
Could you please also for our subscribers just give more details about the differences between being a permanent resident and being a citizen in Canada?
Being a permanent resident and being citizenship, there's not much actually difference. One of them is the election, the Canadian passport, stuff like this. They're very, very minor. Once you're permanent resident in Canada, you can work for any employer, you can open your own business, you can buy a house. Your children, if born in Canada, would be citizens. So roughly your life would be normal, exactly as any other citizen, unless you want to travel. Your passport would make a difference a little bit. It depends from which country you came from. Stuff like this, and usually election.
Like the right to elect and to be elected.
Yes, but all other rights or other responsibilities, the same as the citizen.
Okay, and the next question: what does Canada need more? In, let's say, from the immigration point of view.
Canada needs more qualified people. So whatever your qualifications is, they need people to come to Canada to work, not to abuse the system and not to use the system, right? You can always use the system in the proper way, but not to abuse it. You can. Canada would need doctors. They would need pharmacists. They will need construction workers. They need truck drivers. Canada needs all people that are qualified.
Next question: what difficulties and challenges can a person face if they decide to start their immigration journey to Canada?
Well, initially, I would say the English language is one of the things that a person have to look for: English or French language. That would be probably number one, having the test. Number two, they're going to have to be looking at the technicals, the qualifications. So they will be looking at the educational background, the work experience, and that is the part that a person who wants to immigrate will start over there, and then after this, maybe they're going to be worried about where would they choose to live. Depending on the person where he's from, I found out that most people who live in large cities want to immigrate to large cities. Whoever that born in a smaller villages or maybe a farm, they will choose a farm. That would be something a person has to look forward to. It would be very helpful if someone who's immigrating to Canada find a place that that lots of people that's from his country living around, maybe same culture as a start, because they're not going to integrate in the Canadian society from day one. They will need steps, and the best way to integrate is to be within your community and then expand more slowly, so you don't have that that cultural shock at the beginning. As I said, finding a job in Canada, having Canadian experience, several companies will ask for Canadian experience, and they will take into consideration the Canadian experience in hiring a lot more than other companies. So stuff like this wouldn't be that easy, but it's all manageable. You're upgrading your lifestyle. This is how I see Canada. When you come to Canada, you're upgrading your lifestyle. You need to work hard. You need to find a good job. As long you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you have the language, then these next steps would be a lot easier.
Everybody notices that Canada put some stress on the more young people, more, as you said, they put more stress on working experience in Canada, but also on study experience in Canada as well.
Yes.
And I think it's normal. It's okay for Canada to do this from the Canada's point of view.
Actually, it's a smart way to do.
Yeah.
Let's look at it in a different way. Canada is looking for people who can integrate in the Canadian system easier. So who would be most qualified is the person that already worked in Canada. So he knows the banking system, he knows where to deposit checks,
yeah.
Knows his way. He already worked in Canada, so he has the work experience. Most likely, if he worked already in Canada, he might be still working right now in Canada. So the continuous of his job will make his life easier in Canada. They're looking at the people that studied in Canada. Let's look at the law society or at the engineering. If you study outside Canada and you come to Canada, you have to do the evaluation, and then you have to go through the process of becoming a license in Canada. If you studied in Canada, they know that universities, colleges in Canada, they give you all what you need to be successful in Canada in the program that you studied. So yes, it does make sense. It's a smart move. It's one of the good things that I find in the Canadian immigration system is that they make easier for people that studied or worked in Canada to apply for permanent residence. In other words, why would I try to find someone far away to come to Canada if I have already the qualified person here in Canada and is ready to work or is already working? But with that said, those people are not enough for the Canadian immigration system. They want more people, and that's why they ask other people from other countries to apply.
What would be the best age to immigrate to Canada? Or the best pathway? But both age and pathway, from your point of view.
Okay. It's very hard for me to answer that question precisely. If you're coming to work in Canada, maybe I'll say to work about 28, 30, 25, even up to 35. If you're coming to study, if you come early ages, maybe 18, maybe 20 would be better. If you want to come to Canada as a refugee, the best age to come is whenever you need to come. Like if you're fleeing, you're running for your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much difference if you're 10 years old, if you're 100 years old. You want to save your life and you have valid reasons for that, then that is the time that the best for you to come to Canada.
Based on your experience, again, what are the main principles for selecting candidates that Canada adheres to, and what are the criteria?
Well, the criteria will depend on the programs itself, and there is too many programs. There is the provincial programs, there is the federal programs. When you're looking at immigration and refugee board, you're looking at first as an immigration and then as a refugee. As we said, refugee, if you qualify to be a refugee, then that is the criteria, is that you have fear to go back to your home country, or you were displaced outside of your country and you need help because the situation does not look like it's going to be solved soon. So that is for refugees. If you look at the immigration, then you'll be looking at so many different things. Is it a business immigration? Is it a skilled worker immigration? Is it PNPs? So if we want to talk a little bit more about this, is that the Canadian federal government gave the authority to the provinces to choose their immigrants depending on their needs. And as we all know, that Canada is one of the most or biggest countries in the world, and there's several provinces and territories, and because Canada is very wide, the need changed from one place to another. That's why it was recognized by the federal government and give the provincial government the opportunity to choose immigrants depending on the need. So let's say if a province is very well known for their fishing, maybe they don't have oil field, so they don't need oil field engineer. They would need fishermen, or maybe marine engineer. So that is the whole aspect. Definitely each province and each territory has different requirements for their immigrants. And plus, as we said, we have the federal, which if a person can on a federal government such as express entry, they can choose any place they want to live in Canada. So the criteria is very different between one program and another, but mainly, let's say, the major components of the criteria would be, as mentioned earlier at the beginning, is the age. That's number one. It's the education, the language, the work experience. These are the four more components. In addition to that, you'll be looking at the Canadian experience working in Canada. You'll be looking at the education in Canada, relatives in Canada, stuff like that.
For several people, it's like a surprise to realize that another criteria is proof of funds. How can you explain this, or why Canada will put such a criteria?
Well, the proof of funds is mandatory in lots of programs. Not all of them, but lots of them. Unless you can find a job offer. So if you found a job offer in Canada, then that would be waived. They're not going to look at your financials, because once you come to Canada, you can automatically start working and earning money. They don't want people to come from overseas with zero amount of dollars, coming to Canada, and then they have to sleep on the streets. This is the main reason. They want people to come here, and they would have some time to find a job, to find a place to live. They would have to rent a hotel probably, or maybe a small apartment, just to start their life in Canada. If the Canadian government does not put that as mandatory, we may find most of immigrants are living on the streets after a few weeks. Canada is an expensive country to live in, but if you're working, you would be able to pay for all these expenses. if you came from a poor, let's say poor country, you don't have the resources, and you come to Canada, the currency exchange might be something very hard to accommodate. So that is why Canada made sure to put the financial abilities is one of the requirements.
Can we say that provincial programs are easier than federal ones? Let's say people who are not qualified in the federal programs, they may be eligible under provincial?
Depending on their qualifications, that could be very true, right? Because as we said, the provincial nominal programs, they are looking for specific people that they need. If you look at the requirements for languages, it's a lot easier. The requirements financially, most of them are easier, right? But at the same time, if you're qualified, then you have the options to look everywhere, right? We always have to keep in mind that provincial nominal programs don't take a large number of immigrants as compared to the federal. But yes, if you don't have that high English language, if you don't have that much amount of money, if you have let's say a job offer, that might be the easier way to go through. Just go through a provincial nominal program.
Another question, what advice can you give to anyone who wants to immigrate to Canada from the height of your experience?
Well, I would say the best advice I can give is to prepare, do your job way before you start. I know, and I've been contacted with so many people who wants to come to Canada, and they've tried so many consultants overseas. In 90% cases, if you hire an immigration consultant that is not qualified as a Canadian immigration consultant, you're gonna have a problem. At least there's nobody to look like. There's nobody that can regulate them. There's no force. They would feel that they have to adhere to the proper code of ethics if they are not regulated in Canada. When I'm saying immigration consultants, I don't mean only immigration consultants. They could be lawyers, they could be paralegal, but as long they are certified and they are approved to deal with immigration in Canada. There's many agencies overseas that they advertise that they are immigration consultants, but they are not qualified. They don't have any affiliation with any Canadian immigration consultancy or any lawyer. And it's causing a problem because regulations change daily, and we're trying our best to stay updated with these regulations. I'm not really sure how fast agencies overseas can get the updates, or how hard they're trying to get the updates. Regardless, only the authorized people to deal with immigration consultants on your behalf are the lawyers, the immigration consultants, some paralegals, and there's very few. So please make sure if you know yourself you cannot handle your application and you need the help, look for a regulated immigration consultant or a lawyer or a paralegal that is qualified in Canada to do that. Do your proper work before you hire any immigration consultants or a lawyer or any agency. Do your research, look for reviews. Do your study a little bit about the immigration programs before you even head to a qualified immigration consultant. At least when you go and talk to them, or you phone them, you send them an email, you have an idea on what is how the immigration programs would be treated. What would your qualifications work better in a certain programs. So please do your work properly. Get education. If you're thinking for the future to apply, get education and language. Those are very important.
Okay, and I can give an example from our immigration story. When we decided to immigrate to Canada, we were in Romania, we were living in Romania, and we found an agency back there in Romania and the man who was running this agency, he said he is in touch with an immigration lawyer in Canada. Actually, we didn't check. We didn't know how to check this, and we paid like 1,500 of euro to this person, and we've got nothing. After that, I started to do all by myself. But my question would be how a person overseas can assure that this person in Canada with this agency is licensed.
Well, the best way is to ask the agency. So let's say somebody wants to hire me to do their application. They will come for me first. Are you qualified? Are you certified to do this? Then I will tell them yes, or I will tell them no if I'm not. Well, in my case, I will refer them to the ICCR website. They can go there. They can check my number. They can check my badge number. They can check my name,
yep.
And they will see the status. So if it's an active, that means everything is fine. There's no complaints. That person is an immigration consultant that currently can and are eligible to deal with immigration cases and programs. If they are a part of the, let's say, the Alberta bar of lawyers, then they can check with the Alberta bar. If they're Ontario, they can check with Ontario. So same idea. There's several bodies that control the certifications, and it's very easy to confirm. It's not that hard.
Okay, very, very good advice, and I would like everyone to pay attention to this. Okay, let's move on. What if a person lives poorly in their country of origin and thinks to apply as a refugee? How does Canada treat such individuals? Does it decide that all these people who consider themselves unhappy are persons in need of protection, or are there still some criteria for selection?
That's a very important question, and we have lots of people that ask about that. In a few words, if you're not happy because you're married, your wife is beating up, or the other way, if you can leave the house, then that's fine.
Or if the government is running poorly their country?
Yes, if the government is helping your spouse, then you might be able to apply for refugee. But overall, to be selected a refugee in Canada, you have to have fear to go back home.
Yeah.
That does not mean your only house, but that means your whole country. That's what means home. So if you live in a country, let's say like India, it's a huge country, or maybe Russia, it's a huge country. So if you're living there, you're having an issue, you have a problem in one area, and you still have the option to go to another area.
Yeah.
You're considered safe. Yeah. If you're poor, you don't have much money you're making, that does not make you a refugee. If you can move from one part to another in the same country, that does not make you a refugee. If you can complain to the police and the police can protect you, that does not make you a refugee. So a refugee would be someone is displaced from his country. That's one way to look at it. And they cannot go back to their country because their country is not safe. Or someone that is living in their country and their life is not safe and they had to run away to Canada, let's say, and then they will apply refugee from inside Canada. But the major things you have to look for is the fear to go back home, and that fear continues in all areas of your country.
And you cannot, after you've got your refugee status here in Canada, you cannot go back to your country. Yes.
Well, supposed to, because if you can't go back to your country, this means you're not a refugee, right?
Yeah.
So it's not only if you, for example, you had an issue and you cannot go back to your home country in 3 months. If it's only 3 months, then that does not make you a refugee as well. It has to be a kind of permanent. So let's say you apply for refugee today and tomorrow you get your PR, you left back home, most likely Canadian government will take the PR from you, because definitely there was some misrepresentation.
You've done a lot of refugee cases, and we can say that on each refugee case will be a hearing, yeah? And you have to...
Most of them, yes.
And you have to argue.
Absolutely. There will be an argument, there will be a hearing, and then you have to prove your case. By just saying I cannot go back home, that does not mean you are a refugee. Once you apply for refugee, the beginning stage it's called refugee claimant, so you're still a claimant. You're still asking for the Canadian Refugee Board to consider you as a refugee. And once you get to the hearing, you're going to have to prove your case. So you're going to have to look for evidence, for affidavits, for proof that you have fear of persecution. There is a risk for your life. Maybe letters from friends that saw this, maybe letters from people that experienced this issue before and then they have to fled. Articles, human rights watch articles as well. You can look at the Canadian documentation. So there's lots of things to prove your case, but you have to have a case. If you don't have a case, you cannot prove it.
Can you just suggest people to think twice or more in order to apply for refugee? Let's say, what if they apply and they will be denied? Can they apply for economic program after this?
Well, I wouldn't ask people to think twice before they apply for refugee if they are qualified.
Yeah.
If they are qualified, I think they should apply for refugee, because the Canadian refugee system is one of the best in the whole world, if not the best. In my own opinion, it's the best and simplest immigration refugee system. But they're looking for actually for the actual facts and proofs. If you don't have a case, let's say someone is trying to misrepresent, what a case they can build, what proof they can provide. This is gonna be the issue. So I know some people that comes to Canada on visit visa and they said, you know what, we will apply for refugee to stay here. If you don't have a case, your refugee will be refused. The case will be rejected. Then you will be sent home. Then you cannot come back to Canada for a good period of time, if not forever. So, and in that case, if you are in Canada, you cannot apply to any other immigration, economic immigration programs as well. So it's not that easy. It's not a choice that because I'm hungry, I want to apply for refugee, right? Because I don't like my wife or I don't like my husband, I want to apply for refugee. That does not work like that.
Well, I don't like my government.
Yes. Well, if you don't like your government, try to re-elect. Try to vote next time. Maybe you have a different one. If you don't like your spouse, maybe try to solve a problem or get married. But it's not going to work as a refugee, for sure.
Mr. Fawaz, you are a very active practitioner and you are very often present at various types of hearings, as I said. And at the same time, you conduct a large number of cases of applicants for various immigration programs. How often do the hearings where you represent your clients and the cases you handle end successfully?
Well, that's a tough question. But if you, as an immigration consultant, I try to choose cases. Like if I know that that person doesn't have a case, I wouldn't take it. Because I know, you know what, he's going to pay money and at the very end we're going to go through the whole process and it's not going to be successful. So I look more on people that really have cases. They have been persecuted or they have risk for life. And that's the way I choose my clients. And by doing what I'm supposed to do and asking them to do what they're supposed to do, we can have very, very, very good chance of being accepted, the case being accepted, and have a positive decision. So it's not how often, it's how you deal with it more. Yes, I've been very successful in refugees cases, very successful, but just because of that. Because I don't take all cases. If there's no case for refugee, I don't take it. because I know we're not gonna be successful, right? Someone submitting an application for a refugee because he doesn't like the type of work he's doing at home and there's no other opportunities, I can almost guarantee that it's not going to be successful. Why would I go through it, right? But preparing for refugee is essential on getting a positive decision, making everyone's life a lot easier when you're prepared.
We know you for more than 1 year. We already 1 year working here with you in your office, and we know you as a successful person. Can you share with us and with our subscribers, let's say from your point of view, what is the key to your success?
Preparation. So you have to prepare for everything in life before you start doing it. So if you give it the time it needs, if you do it properly, there's steps that you have to go through. If you're going on a ladder and you shouldn't step from the first step to 9, you have to go step 1, step 2, step 3. If you have that system, then you should most likely be successful in any type of work. You have to have the commitment and you have to give it time.
It's almost 1 year since a pandemic raged in the world. How has this affected Canada's immigration system? Much has changed the process of submission and consideration of application processing stage. It is harder or easier to get to this wonderful country now?
It's not a matter of harder or easier, it's a matter of time. Maybe the only thing that changed is the time and the procedure of submitting documentation. Several agencies, different immigration agencies now, they accept online applications. They didn't accept that before. So some of the hearings are being virtually done for refugees, for spousal sponsorship appeals. They now accept by video conference. But as a process is almost the same. As for number of applicants, there, as we said, for this past year, the Canadian immigration sent invitations more than the previous years. So I think that was a success even during the pandemic. The only thing that as I said, will not be perfect is the time. Because as we know, there were so many days officials and offices were closed, officials were off, and there's number restrictions for most of the agencies. So let's say they had 100 people working in one office. After pandemic, they reduced this to third, I think, the first time, and then maybe to 75% recently. So this is the only thing that's being badly affected or negatively affected, is the
processing times.
The processing time.
And here in Calgary, let me ask you, the hearings were held still in person, yeah?
Now, yes, you have the option now to choose. It's either in person or virtually. Even when we say in person, there was a certain time that it wasn't in person, but it was on the Immigration Refugee Board building. So the member would be in a different room. The interpreter would be somewhere else if needed, and the claimant and the counsel can be at the same.
Like COVID measures in place?
Yes, absolutely.
If a person wants to move here to live, should he give up and forget about his dream because now there is a lockdown everywhere, or can he still do something even in this situation?
Well, I would believe it's the best time to prepare. If you want to come to Canada, most countries have closures. Most countries have layoffs for some time. And I think if a person, instead of sitting at home doing nothing, it's a good time to start maybe preparing for English language, maybe sending documents to be evaluated in Canada. That's if a person is thinking of immigrating to Canada, for sure. Trying to look for a job in Canada. I know it's not that easy because of the pandemic, but at least if they can prepare themselves to know how to find a job in Canada during this period of time, they can, in the worst cases or the simplest cases, they can just do their studies.
The question is very frequent question actually. Can a person immigrate to Canada without English or French, but mostly English?
Well, yes and no, depending on the program. So if it's a spousal sponsorship application, then yes, you don't need English language or French language.
It's like you can say, we can say, if you want to immigrate to Canada without English or French, get married with Canadian. Okay?
Well,
kind of.
If it's a legally considered marriage, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can try to find a job offer in Canada. That would be considered. If you come on a work permit, some employers may not ask for English or French language.
Okay.
Right? So there's options.
And for refugee, there is no requirement.
Refugees, there's no language requirements as well.
What countries have you worked with clients from?
Well, we've been in business for about 6-7 years, and we've been dealing with people from all over the world. So from Middle East, Africa, from the States, if I can remember all of them, Soviet Union, several as well. So all over.
And the last question, actually, our channel is watched by viewers from different countries, mostly from Europe, such as Moldova, where me and my wife, my family are from Romania, from Ukraine, from Russia, even from England and European countries, from post-Soviet countries such as Belarus, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and many other countries. What would you like to wish them in the run-up to their immigration?
Well, I wish successful everyone, but please make sure you do your study first. Do your preparation work first before you start doing the immigration.
Like do your homework, yeah?
Exactly, do your homework. Before you start having the English language test done, before you send your degrees to be evaluated in Canada, before you submit an application for refugee, before you come here on a visit visa and go and just ask, I want to apply for refugee, please do your homework. Prepare. Make sure you know what is the best program for you. It's easy to submit any application, maybe, but it's not easy to know which program and which application is the best for you. So please do your homework, prepare properly, and that would be the most important thing, is to know what application is the best for you.
And let me ask one more question, just a postscriptum. We know that were recently revealed the new immigration plans for 2021, 2022 and 2023. There are levels of immigration never met before, just one time, like in early 19th, was such a high level of immigration level, like such an amount of immigrants Canada is willing to accept. And do you think it's the best time to make your application to immigrate to Canada? No.
Well, any time is a good time if you're qualified. Canada is a very large country, and there is about less than 14 million people living in Canada. Canada has lots of areas that's not habitable or not habitated. People are not living in it. And there's lots of opportunities in Canada. There's lots of businesses that can be very successful in Canada. And that's why Canada wants more people to come here. Is it the best time to come? I would believe yes, because we can see that most of other countries are not stable. Canada system makes everyone here equal, and that's something very important and very essential. In Canada, you feel safe. If you're not feeling safe in your country, if you're not feeling that your life is stable, Canada would be a good option. If you're qualified, by all means, welcome to Canada.
Mr. Hashem, thank you very much for your time and for all the information provided to us and to our subscribers.
Thank you very much. Leonid, thank you, Anastasia, thank you for everyone for watching, for listening, and hopefully it was a beneficial session, or whatever it's called.
I want to say at the end of this video, if you have any more questions and any, let's say, some requests, some suggestions, you can write down, and please write down to this video in the comments. All our contact information will be as well in the description of this video. And with the permission of Mr. Favoise, we can do more video, let's say, on different topics and explain more, just to get you comfortable with the information how to immigrate to Canada. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Take care.